Hey there, everyone, and welcome back to the Disconnected. It has been a long time coming to put this video finally up on the channel. This is the last in my series of boutique labels that I collect, and so should you. You are wondering probably why we are looking like this today, and that's because I've got a second camera where I'm going to show each release, and we're going to go over all of the different lines in Vinegar Syndrome, all of the different types of releases, and every single partner label. It's going to be a long one. Strap in. All right, so Vinegar Syndrome first started a long time ago with an Indiegogo campaign, and they had a few titles that were only available there. This first one is The Executioner Part 2 and featuring Frozen Scream as a double feature. This is the back of the release. The important part here is that they got their exploitation.tv branding on the side. Exploitation TV was a Vinegar Syndrome streaming service that they had for a very short period of time. You can see the catalog number there says GoGo1 because it is from their Indiegogo campaign. Now you have to get that on the secondhand market. Back in the very early time of Vinegar Syndrome, a lot of the titles that they put out were adult titles. These are generally adult titles with a storyline. It's not just straight up things that you would find on the hub, but it's got a lot of that in there. So if that's your thing, they've got a lot to choose from. This one is the Ribald Tales of Canterbury. This was only released on DVD unless you got one of their 5 years 5 film set, where this movie was upgraded to Blu-ray. So the back here does show that they have a bonus feature on here featuring Hypatia Lee. This is the movie Tasty. Even though this is a DVD only title, they've got original trailers, audio commentary, and then some interviews. So even their DVDs, they were putting a lot of time and energy into making sure that we were getting the best possible package. Now, the next one, this is their Peakorama branding. So a lot of their DVDs were released with this Peakorama branding. This is a double feature with the films Pulsating Flesh and Super Sex. And you can see it's got a different color scheme all around. It's got the stars. A lot of these were fairly bare bones releases. They don't have a lot of extras. It is just the two films. So this is All Night at the Pono. They put out two of these, and they are cardboard boxes. And then the sleeve on the inside, when you take it out, it has everything housed within, and they are very well made. It's a nice quality release, nice little plastic digipack. This has a lot of feature films on it. They are all shot in lesser film. I think these are either 8mm or 16mm, so they don't look amazing, but it is a lot of watching. There are hours and hours on this. This next one I mentioned earlier, but that was when Vinegar Syndrome took 5 of their films that were released on DVD and upgraded them to Blu-ray. This is one of their 5 films 5 year sets. This one happens to include Dracula Sucks, Corporate Assets, The Vixens of Kung Fu, Tropic of Desire, and Baby Rosemary. This was a limited release, something like 1,000 or 2,000 copies. It was pretty small, but they sold out very quickly. A lot of the titles they had put out on DVD, people wanted on Blu-ray. So they put out 4 of these editions. The first and the third edition were for the adult titles, and then the second and fourth editions were for the horror and exploitation titles. Those are all long out of print. They've been out of print for years at this point. Secondhand market is going to be the only place to find them. So one of the very short-lived lines from Vinegar Syndrome was the Sexploitation Signature Series line. And this one that I'm going to show from that line is Fugitive Girls. This was number 4 in that line. They only put out 4 titles, but you can see the branding on the spine here says Sexploitation Signature Series number 4, and then it still has the Vinegar Syndrome logo and branding and regular catalog number and all that on the bottom. This next one is one that is finally getting a sort of reboot during this halfway to Black Friday sale for 2022. Previously, the drive-in collection looked like this, had this style look to all of them, and they were all DVD. Nothing has been on Blu-ray for the drive-in collection, and this release that they're about to put out from the drive-in collection during the sale is going to be a double feature Blu-ray release. So we will see how that goes. But this is essentially their old Peakorama branding They took everything that they did for that. Most of the time, it was bare bones releases on DVD with the Picorama branding, and they just switched it out for the driving collection branding. Some of these were sexploitation, some of these were horror, all kinds of different style films, but a lot of those are still available, and they are very cheap during these sales. Speaking of Blu-ray features, let's talk about a regular Blu-ray release from Vinegar Syndrome. This is Blue Vengeance. It comes with their slipcover. Their slipcover comes with the Vinegar Syndrome branding and a catalog number at the bottom. And it is a slipcover with a Blu-ray release on the inside. These usually have double-sided art so that you can switch it out for the original art like I have on Blue Vengeance here. You can see this is a Blu-ray and DVD dual format pack, and they are not doing those anymore. So if it is a Blu-ray release, it will just be a Blu-ray. A lot of the 4K releases have been 4K and Blu-ray, but if it is not a 4K, you can expect a Blu-ray disc, and that's it. For those of you that are familiar with Vinegar Syndrome, you'll know that they are known for putting a lot of features on these discs. So this one has a commentary track with a director and actor, commentary track with another of the actors, a making of documentary created by J. Christian Ingvordsen on Blue Vengeance, a conversation with J. Christian Ingvordsen and Michael Gingold, The First Man from 1997, an unreleased surreal science fiction drama from Blue Vengeance co-writer Danny Kuchuk. And then, of course, the reversible cover, it's got subtitles, and it's a new scanned and restored in 4K from the 35mm OCN. So what is the big deal with Vinegar Syndrome slipcovers? So first off, they did not release them for all of their Blu-ray titles to begin with. There are still a lot of them that do not have slipcovers, actually. They are made out of a really nice thick cardboard, and they've kind of set the standard for slipcover releases throughout the boutique Blu-ray industry. So a lot of people are trying to emulate their slipcovers. If you try to find some of these, a lot of them are out of print because they were only guaranteed for like the first 1,000, 2,000, or some of the later releases up to 8,000 and 9,000. There are many different print runs, and if you need to find out if it had a slipcover or how much the print run was, you can check that on vschecklist.com. So for those slipcovers, if a title originally did not have a slipcover, they have released catalog slipcovers for a lot of their films, and those will come usually during a sale, and they will cost $8 to buy it by themselves if you already have the movie, or you can get the movie and the slipcover together for like 20, 22, something like that, and you will get that brand new slipcover and the original release, and everything will be just like you've already had it. So the important thing to know, if you want to buy the slip by itself, you have to buy it during the sale. Otherwise, you have to buy the film with a slipcover. If a slipcover is out of print, Vinegar Syndrome has stated they will not be issuing any more slipcovers if it already had one. So you can count on the fact that you will not be getting one for a film if it already had one unless you buy it on the secondhand market. Speaking of slipcovers, they've done some really cool ones over the years, like this Tammy and the T-Rex. That was their first 4K title. This has a lenticular slipcover, which is kind of difficult to see over the camera, but it's got a really nice 3D effect. And as I stated, the other important thing to talk about is this is their first 4K Ultra HD title. This was the test market that they had to see if 4Ks were worth printing, and they have been wildly successful. So a lot of times these 4K releases are coming with a 4K and Blu-ray disc, so you were able to buy it and future-proof in case you do not have a 4K player yet. But pay attention to the details and the listings to find out if that's what you want. So Vinegar Syndrome had not released any box sets for quite a number of years, and then they released their first one, the Amityville Cursed Collection, and it is a beauty. So first off, there is artwork literally on every side of this box. You've got all the titles on one side. Here is the back, and it looks like the house, but even cooler on this one, on the bottom, you can see there is a dog buried underneath. So they even put artwork on the bottom of this box. And then it's got this top-loading lid. When you take it off, they even have the inside there with art all the way around. And you can see they've got individual cases for all of the films on the inside, and you can take those out. This box set has really nice matching artwork for all of them. Their box sets have proven to be a really good value, and they house a lot of different type of films. They've got the televised terror, they've got these, they've got homegrown horrors, they've got the Angel collection, they've got Camille Keaton in Italy, and there are more coming, but the ones they are known for are their Forgotten Jolly sets. They've put out 4 of those so far, and those are not the end of the line. There are more coming. So, as I stated, Vinegar Syndrome has moved away from DVD releases, but every single type that I've showed you so far, you would get if you had a current subscription to Vinegar Syndrome. These next ones are ones that you would not get as part of your Vinegar Syndrome collection because they are not a part of the Vinegar Syndrome line. They have different catalog numbers. They're part of a different line. So if you had that subscription, you would get a 50% discount off of the MSRP on these, but not as part of your, normal monthly delivery. You would have to order them separately. So the first is when they went all Blu-ray and 4K after leaving DVD, is they wanted to keep Peakorama going. So they have titles like this. We have Taxi Girls, and then on the back we have Heavenly Desire. They have rebranded these with a Peakorama catalog number and a different color logo on the spine. The cool thing with the Peakorama titles is they have kept the original Peakorama branding. It is on the opposite side of the wrap. The next Vinegar Syndrome line to talk about is VSA. This is Talons of the Eagle. This is VSA number 22. They all get their own catalog number on the spine that has a separate designation for the VSAs. There are a few things that set these apart from the other releases. These are all hand numbered on the top. So I got number 796 of 5,000 for Talons of the Eagle. They all have this double-sided hard case that is sort of made to mimic like an old video cassette release, and it is bottom loading. So not like a regular slipcover. They are known for being a little tight on the Blu-ray case, so a lot of people do not like them. On the inside, it is a normal release, got all kinds of special features, and it looks just like a Vinegar Syndrome release. And then on the inside, it also has a fold-out poster in every single VSA. Quick tip, if you're putting the Blu-ray back on the VSA and you are, having this thing where it's kind of tight on the top and you don't want to mess with anything, take the sides and squeeze the case as you're doing it and it will expand and it slides right in. So what is a VSA? Why do they have it separate? So what they said when they announced these is that it is part of the Vinegar Syndrome Archive Collection, celebrating forgotten cinematic oddities from the video store era. This collection was inspired by our own brick-and-mortar video store, The Archive, in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Unique to this line, each hand-numbered limited edition release will come fitted in a specially designed bottom-loading VHS-inspired slipcase, while also including a double-sided poster. These releases will only be available on our website and at participating indie retailers. So usually you can get these through like Grindhouse Video and Orbit DVD and sometimes Diabolic DVD. Absolutely no major retailers will be stocking them. This slipcase edition is going to be limited and may be followed by a standard edition in the future. That wording was not always on the VSAs. That's only in the most recent releases. They used to be strictly limited, and once they were sold out, they were sold out. But a few of them have been very popular, so they are looking to possibly sell more of those copies as a standard edition. So after the VSAs, Vinegar Syndrome announced another subline that is not a part of their subscription that is called VSU. The U stands for Ultra, and these are always going to be 4K releases. We'll get into what the VSU line says in just a moment. But let's get into the first release from the VSU line. So this is Beastmaster, and you'll notice this case is wild. So when you are opening this side is magnetized. You can hear it snap back into place, but when you open it up, there is more artwork, and there's artwork also on the back. So there's artwork everywhere. You've got a little sash here. When you pull it out, you reveal more artwork at the back of the case, and this also had a slip cover on the movie. Here is the back of the slip. So Beastmaster got all kinds of special art. And then in that is the 4K case. And this release had 3 different discs. So there's the 4K and then 2 Blu-rays, one for the film and one for the special features. As if that was not enough, the release also came with this nice book. It's not super thick, but it's got a lot in here. There's a lot of art, there's a lot of writing. It is a wonderful release overall. So their original release for Beastmaster says, "We are beyond excited to introduce you to Vinegar Syndrome Ultra, a new Vinegar Syndrome sublabel focused exclusively on extravagant UHD Blu-ray releases of major 80s and 90s titles that might not always fit into the regular VS milieu, although the first one definitely does." And these releases come in that box I just showed you. And the way that they explain those, they say VSU exclusive ultra high-end magnet clasp box containing a slip-covered disc set and a A certain number of page, perfect bound book. The artwork is designed by one of their artists, and the box is designed and patented by Vinegar Syndrome. These are strictly limited, and so far, after the limited box set sells out, they do put out another release that does have a slipcover by itself. And interestingly enough, it is a separate design for the slipcover rather than just the same that's in the big box. So Beastmaster has this big VSU box. It then got a slipcover release with a different style of art. Essentially, it is like a standard release afterwards, but that standard release happens to come with a slipcover. And the final line to talk about for Vinegar Syndrome is VSP, which stands for Vinegar Syndrome Pictures. Now, this line is interesting because they have released 3 of these, and they have 2 different styles of packaging. One is a big slip box with a pull-out on the side slipcover, but the first one got the same exact style box as Beastmaster for the VSU. So it's the same magnetized side, artwork all around. When you open it up, it's got a slipcover, it's got more art, it's got a really nice thick book. Obviously, a lot of people are familiar with New York Ninja, but if you're not, this is going to be the title now that is most associated with Vinegar Syndrome because they literally created this from an unfinished film. The story is amazing. The special features on this disc are ridiculous. If you don't have this yet, this is probably the most suggested to purchase Vinegar Syndrome title. So VSP, what is Vinegar Syndrome Pictures? Well, for their release of Censor, they say on that page, by now you've probably heard about VSP, which is Vinegar Syndrome Pictures. That is Vinegar Syndrome's new sublabel for the weirdest, wildest, and most original, newly produced genre cinema, all shot on film. So there's a lot of vague talk around what that could be. These are new films, all shot on film, and Vinegar Syndrome generally has been putting out much older films. So that's how they are differentiating those. Well, we did it. We got through all the Vinegar Syndrome line, and now there's only a whole lot of partner labels to talk about. So let's dive into them. So what's important to remember about all of these is that these are all distributed by OCN Distribution. OCN stands for Original Camera Negative, and OCN Distribution is ran by some of the guys that work for Vinegar Syndrome, but they distribute other partner label titles so that they can all get the same exposure from the Vinegar Syndrome website. So these partner labels, they're going to share resources, they're going to share manufacturing, they're going to share all the same things. Like this first one is going to be from Altered Innocence, and this is their release of Adoration. So it's got a regular slipcover, just like all of the Vinegar Syndrome releases, and it feels and looks exactly the same. They use the same paper, they use the same cases, everything. So what is Altered Innocence? Their blurb says, Altered Innocence has been dedicated to releasing LGBTQ and coming-of-age films with an artistic edge since their inception in 2015. With a library of features and shorts from around the world, mixing genre with art house and everything in between, Altered Innocence is committed to curating an esoteric library that is without peer in the current marketplace. Altered Innocence has put out some great releases. I would suggest Adoration and Knife Plus Heart as their 2 best releases. Next up is AGFA, and my personal favorite release of theirs is Scary Tales. This is a shot-on-video anthology film that is weird and wild, and you just kind of got to watch it to understand everything that they put into it. AGFA is super well known in like exploitation cinema for their theatrical catalog, for their massive archive in, I believe it's in Austin, Texas, and then now their home video line is here to provide you with all kinds of entertainment. So their product pages state the American Genre Film Archive, which is what AGFA stands for, represents the world's largest theatrical catalog of exploitation cinema. Their home video line presents a diverse selection of movies ranging from new preservations of classics, from the vast library of something weird, to the wildest in shot-on-video titles. Next up is Big World Pictures, and they made some waves with their release of Rebels of the Neon God. This is a title that a lot of people had wanted on Blu-ray for a long time. Rebels of the Neon God was their first release, so it got some really good feedback from people that have been dying to see it. Big World Pictures on their website says they are dedicated to bringing the best in world cinema to film enthusiasts across the United States. The next partner label is Canadian International Pictures. This is their release of The Ernie Game, and there is the back of the slip. This is a really nice release. And for Canadian International Pictures, they say, from art house to exploitation, Canadian International Pictures, also known as CIP, is devoted to resurrecting vital, distinctive, and overlooked triumphs of Canadian cinema. This label is focused on the country's original cinematic boom years, spanning the 60s, 70s, and 80s, occasionally venturing past that period and the country's borders to highlight the films of Canada's most inspired actors and filmmakers. Next up is Circle Collective, and their most recent release is Beauty Day, and this one is selling very quickly. So on all of the Circle Collective product pages, they say Circle Collective formed in June of 2019 in order to provide a new avenue for and community around creative distribution as an artist-forward feature film marketing and distribution consulting agency. Circle Collective will begin to release contemporary indie cinema across a variety of genres and origins onto physical media, maintaining the same artist-forward perspective as in their theatrical campaigns. Next up is probably one of my favorite partner labels because I have loved everything they've put out so far. That is Culture Shock Releasing. I'd followed them for a long time before they were a Vinegar Syndrome partner label, but they are killing it now that they are tied in with OCN. This is Girlfriend from Hell. This was their first release, and I think this movie is super fun. One that I strongly suggest for everybody. Culture Shock Releasing has released a new title every month since they became a partner label, and that shows no sign of slowing. They are very busy. So they say Culture Shock Releasing is the union of lo-fi video and verboten video, dedicated to preserving genre and cult movies shot on video and film and releasing them on Blu-ray, with a heavy focus on films from the 80s and 90s. So the next partner label to discuss is Dark Star. This is their release of The Last Matinee. This was also released in the UK by Arrow Video, and it's a great one. Strongly suggest it for everybody who has not seen it yet. Dark Star on their pages says that Dark Star Pictures is a new age North American distribution company focused on bringing unique and targeted content to audiences across the country, and is committed to releasing auteur-driven original cinema in the theatrical, digital, and home video space. In partnership with OCN, new Dark Star titles, along with celebrated features in their back catalog, will receive features-packed Blu-ray editions that will maintain the OCN standard of quality and Dark Star's deft curation. The next partner label is a pretty exciting one. This is Deaf Crocodile, and this is their release of The Unknown Man of Shandigore. This was a lost film that is very much like a Doctor Strangelove type of comedy. It's an odd spy film that was gone for decades, and they've given it new life. So Deaf Crocodile on all of their product pages says that Deaf Crocodile is an LA-based distribution and restoration company focused on new, independent, lost, unseen, and world cinema with a special interest in animation, cult horror and fantasy, LGBTQ films, and the work of neglected and underrepresented filmmakers from across the spectrum. The company was founded by film restoration expert Craig Rogers and distributor-exhibitor Dennis Bartok. One of the cool things about Deaf Crocodile is they sort of made their name by restoring Assault on Precinct 13 in 4K from John Carpenter. That has not been confirmed from a physical media standpoint, but they were showing that in theaters across the country, and they supposedly did a wonderful job. I did not get a chance to see it, and I would love to see them release that through OCN. All right, one of the partner labels that really hits my heart is ETR Media, which is for Enjoy the Ride Records. And this is their release of Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street, which is the story of A Nightmare on Elm Street 2. And this is a really neat die-cut slipcover that they put out for this film. I actually interviewed Ross from Enjoy the Ride Records and shared that on my channel. If you are interested in checking that out, please find the video on my channel. I think that there's a lot of information that you could glean from that, not just about the movie side, but they put out a lot of vinyl records as well that I'm personally interested in, and they do some really great work. Their 3 releases so far have been amazing. On their product pages, it says ETR Media is the brand new film distribution arm of Enjoy the Ride Records, a Long Island-based record label specializing in cult-following reissues through a variety of genres. ETR Media releases will adhere to the same quality standards as fans have come to associate with their lavish LP reissues. The next partner label is Decanalog. I've loved their stuff so far. This is Detention. It is based on a video game, and it's fantastic. On each of the Decanalog pages, it says Decanalog is a film and soundtrack distribution company dedicated to the release of the most unique filmmaking voices and musical scores from around the world. Factory 25. This is the next partner label. This is their release of Hellaware. I did not love this, but a lot of people seem to like it. It is a very unique film, to say the least. As a whole, Factory 25 themselves have put out some very interesting titles. Things like Ham on Rye and this Hellaware release are ones that you should probably check out. Their page says, Factory 25, a Brooklyn-based independent film distribution company, was founded in 2009 by Matt Grady. Factory 25 is a home for conceptually provocative narratives and documentaries. Its mission is to deliver specialized film and music titles in an aesthetically captivating way while exposing the indie world to under-the-radar films, music, and other curiosities in various ways and formats. Theatrically, digitally, on TV, VOD, via subscription, limited edition DVDs, Blu-rays, books, and vinyl. The next one is maybe the most consistent partner label, and that is Fun City Editions. This is another one that I had an interview with. I've got that interview on my channel with Jonathan Hertzberg, who is the man behind Fun City Editions, and he has been absolutely killing his releases. These are all fantastic so far. Walking the Edge is probably the one that I think the most people will like, so I strongly suggest checking it out if you have not. On their product pages, Fun City Edition says, taking its name from the ironic moniker for late 1960s and 70s New York, Fun City Editions is a new boutique label focused on reissues of maverick repertory cinema and music that can best be described as works that exist outside of their time. Spanning an array of genres, artists, and countries, but with a unifying focus on forgotten and overlooked treasures, each Fun City release, be it a Blu-ray or vinyl LP, will present new restorations and comprehensive extras which contextualize and illuminate the artistic and historic value of the piece. The next partner is a very big one, and that is Gunpowder and Sky. They've been putting out big releases like this Summer of '84 release. This is a slip box that comes with the slipcover inside, and this is a 4K release. They did some really great work on this film. It looks fantastic. They even have a little souvenir on the inside that I won't spoil, but it is great. Gunpowder and Sky has done some incredible work on all of their releases. I particularly like Kid Candidate and Summer of '84. I will say their release of Awaken is possibly the best looking 4K disc I have ever seen. On each of their pages, Gunpowder and Sky says, since launching in 2016, Gunpowder and Sky has released 30 plus feature films in partnership with leading services including HBO, Netflix, Hulu, Showtime, and Starz. As an independent studio, they're known for groundbreaking music and pop culture documentaries, alongside narrative and genre cinema, all of which manage to transgress conventions. In partnership with OCN, Gunpowder and Sky will release new titles on UHD and Blu-ray alongside upgrades of current home video editions, with an attention to the best quality possible for home video and elaborate packaging. Next up is Connie releasing, I believe that's how you say it, it's either Connie or Canny. This is their release of Cain and Abel. It is one of their better releases. They also put out Being Natural. That was their first release. And on their site, it says, named after Yasujiro Osu's custom-made tatami-level crab-like tripod, Connie is a new home video label dedicated to leveling the gaze and furthering the understanding of Asian cinema in North America. Focused on genre-defying films, Connie aims to expand the canon, bolster up-and-coming filmmakers, and reintroduce repertory classics in context. The next one is Music Box Selects, and this is their most recent release. This is of Sybil. This is a very nice release on them. I've not gotten to watch this yet, but everybody I trust for movies says that this is fantastic. Music Box Select start with a film called Heavy Trip. It is an offbeat road comedy film from Finland, and it's great. Highly suggest that one for sure. And each of their pages says Music Box Selects is a brand new home video library from the revered independent film distribution company Music Box Films, which is dedicated to curating a diverse repertoire of films and television from around the world. The Music Box Selects line will consist of Blu-ray debuts of catalog titles and home video premieres, all of which will adhere to the quality and diversity that fans have come to expect from the Music Box name. One of the first partner labels that we've by now only gotten 3 releases from is Pulse Video. This is their release of La Femme Objet. This is a partner label that is from France, and they have put out 3 adult titles so far, and that's it. Pulse released La Femme Objet and then waited a long time, and then during the next adult sale in February, they released 2 more titles, so maybe we'll see some more next February. Their page says, Pulse Video is a France-based, genre film-focused boutique label which specializes in creating ultimate home video releases of cult and X-rated films. The next one is one that is near and dear to my heart, and if you're going to get anything from this label, I suggest this release. This is Mail Order Murder from Saturn's Core Audio and Video. This is a documentary about the story of Wave Productions, as you can see at the bottom there, and it is such a well-made documentary. So the Saturn's Core product pages say that Saturn's Core Audio and Video is a New Jersey-based home video label devoted to releasing underground oddities and shot-on-video cinema on VHS and now Blu-ray discs. In partnership with OCN, Saturn's Core will exhume forgotten or underseen genre cinema from the 80s and 90s with an emphasis on shot-on-video horror features. Now, I also did an interview with Saturn's Core, and I highly suggest checking out that video. You will see the amount of passion that he has for that genre, and it comes out so easily. He is on top of everything. Next up is Subculture. This is a German label, and they have only released this one title. This is Deadlock. This came out in 4K, and it's a really nice Western. It looks fantastic, but that was almost a full year ago now, and I am hearing that we're supposed to be getting another title soon, so hopefully in the next 60 days we're getting at least our catalog number 2 from Subculture. The Subculture USA pages state that Subculture is a German-based home video company devoted to restoring and re-releasing genre cinema in the best possible editions, running the gamut from grindhouse classics like Switchblade Sisters to more contemporary genre oddities like Silent Trigger and impressive restoration jobs like Bloody Friday. OCN will exclusively handle US distribution on select releases for Subculture, bringing their unique taste for genre curation and penchant for quality restoration work to American audiences. The next label is one that has very close ties to Vinegar Syndrome, and that is TerrorVision. TerrorVision made some waves by putting out the WNUF Halloween special. This is a film that was made in the 2010s, but it was made to look like it was made in the 80s, and people love this release. If you have never seen it, highly suggest it. It's got commercials, it's got all kinds of stuff. It's a great special. Now, TerrorVision is also ran by Brad Henderson from Vinegar Syndrome himself. He has a partner that owns TerrorVision and has been doing the music side of things for quite some time, which, by the way, TerrorVision has an actual store in Georgia now, and then they are about to open a pop-up in New York. So if you're in either of those areas, strongly suggest looking those up. They do some really nice stuff across the board. The TerrorVision pages say, until now, TerrorVision has focused on releasing obscure movie soundtracks on vinyl and operating a physical store in Savannah, Georgia. This new home video venture will allow TerrorVision to exercise the same care and curation as is paramount with their vinyl releases onto home video formats, allowing unearthed genre gems from decades past and contemporary oddities to find a new life on physical media. Again, one of the first few partner labels. This is Utopia, and Shiva Baby might just be the best movie put out by any of these partner labels so far. I loved this movie. It is hilarious and tense and fantastic and has won awards and all kinds of stuff. This is one that I really suggest checking out. It may still be on HBO Max, so if you've got that service, you can probably watch it today. Utopia has put out some really strong titles so far, and they are genuinely one of my top 5 partner labels, easily. Now, their pages say Utopia is a film acquisitions, sales, and technology company with a filmmaker-first approach. Utopia focuses on creating new revenue and monetization opportunities, improving the direct-to-consumer experience, and helping filmmakers maintain a global presence. And finally, we have Yellow Veil Pictures, and this is their most recent release with They Look Like People. But they have put out some films that I have genuinely loved. They do really great work. They are a big up-and-coming name in acquisitions, and I strongly suggest checking them out. So the Yellow Veil Pictures pages, it says that it is a New York City and Los Angeles-based film sales and distribution company focusing exclusively on boundary-pushing genre cinema, seeking to highlight filmmakers who exist on the cusp of commercial and art house cinema. All right, and that is it. So we covered all of the Vinegar Syndrome lines and 21 different partner labels, and that took forever. I hope that you enjoyed that. There's a lot of information on all these partner labels, and not to mention all of the Vinegar Syndrome lines if you're looking to collect from them. But most people probably have seen a lot of these before, just to break them down and give you some more information and something to rely on. When it comes to these partner labels, a lot of people have said there are too many partner labels, too much to choose from. Me personally, I think that more film is always a good thing. My big thing is that with this many partners, there is a different partner label for every taste of film that you could have out there. I mean, there's Asian cinema, there's horror, there's LGBTQ cinema, there are coming of age films, there's comedies, there's documentaries. It goes across the gamut, and with every type of interest, there's something that you will enjoy, and I can guarantee that. OCN Distribution is a huge company that is putting out Vinegar Syndrome titles plus all of these partner labels, and supposedly there are more partner labels being announced this year. It is wild what they have put out over the last few years. If you have any questions on any of the labels, please submit a comment below. I'm more than happy to respond and help in any way that I possibly can. I really appreciate this company. I really support them for their restoration work and their archival work. I think it's very important. With how much I've been speaking about them this month, a lot of people are going to think that I am like a shield for them or something. I'm not. I just genuinely support them for what they do, and I appreciate their work for the community. Again, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them below. In the meantime, if you've spent all this time with me, please make sure that you give a like on the video below and subscribe if you haven't. There's a lot of people that watch these videos that have not subscribed, and I try to do my best to share informational things like this. If you want to dive a lot deeper, I also have a Patreon below where you have the opportunity to be a part of my Discord, where I've got a lot of people where we hang out, talk about film. I give stock updates if I find something super cheap. If I find something that's out of print, I don't announce it anywhere else. I share it primarily with my community. So if you were looking to collect and find some rare things, it might be a good place for you. If you want to really step that up, I also do a giveaway at the top tier every single month. That might be something you're interested in, and if so, the link for the Patreon is down below. Until next time, as I always say, from one collector to all of you, have a good night.